Did not catch up with what was happening. I thought, what is she saying here? And I tried to ask her, I was like, just go on, just call me. And as I drove home, I realized that when I was a kid, this is what a phone looked like. A phone was this long thing with a round piece that you put on your ear and a big handlebar and a mouthpiece. And your phones and my phone now are just square boxes. Or my son, who's 13, I was telling him to dial someone's number. And he said to me, like, Dad, why do we say dial? And I said, son, let me teach you. Long, long ago, when the world was in black and white, when I was a kid, you had to put your finger on a number and dial it like a circle. And I swear to you, he could not understand it.
Yeah, foreign.
And that today, we still say dial the numbers. There's no dialing. Because over time, technology changes rapidly. This could be 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. And what Von Ranke found is technology changes like this, but humanity looks more like this. Here's what I know. And it's a hard pill to swallow. Here's what everybody, and there are probably 3 conservatives in the room right now. And all of us, including all 3 of you, could agree that we are not there. There's nobody in the country believes we're at that peak.
Nope. No
one believes we're there. I know for sure we're not there. This is like the Holocaust. We like to think we're here right now, but let me tell you, there are places in the world right now that are there. I just spoke to a class earlier. There's a concentration camp in China where nearly 2 million Uyghur Muslims are interned against their will and cannot leave. Right now. All I know is that we're not at that peak. We're not at this peak. We're somewhere down here. Because listen, technology unfolds this way, but humanity unfolds like this. Here's how I know this is true. This is technology, but if humanity unfolded like this, how do we explain this? If you ever get a chance to go to this country far, far away called Washington, D.C., I never realized how far away Washington, D.C. was until I lived in California. There's a museum of African American history and culture where this actual document is on the wall. Does somebody know what that is? Mm-hmm. It's a slave ship, but it's a business plan. That's what this literally, this was a man hired an artist to help him create a business plan, and this is the document he gave to investors to show them how well he could perform in the business of shipping humans. And what he wanted to document was, look how many humans I can fit on my ship. It was in fact a business plan. And if we're getting better and better, so if this is early humanity and this is us, if we're right here, this right here, this took place like right here. In the scheme of human history, we like to think that this was thousands of years ago. There was a woman who voted in the last presidential election whose father was enslaved. If we're getting better and better and better, how do we explain the wounds on this man's back? If this is how time unfolds, how do we explain this? This is the Holocaust. I live in Brooklyn, New York, which has the largest living population of Holocaust survivors anywhere in the world outside of Israel. People who experience this are still alive. Very few people now, every year that passes, but people who lived through this are still here. This is at Auschwitz, a pile of thousands, tens of thousands of shoes, where every human being that was forced to come into these camps, they were made to take off their shoes, and everybody there died, but their shoes are still there. This right here took place, this is like right here. This is yesterday in the scheme of history. If we're getting better and better and better, how do we explain this? This happened when I was in middle school in Rwanda, where nearly 1 million people were hacked to death in 90 days. We explain it. We explain these skulls and fragments because that's how technology works, but this is how humanity works. And the question is, where are we? I have to skip several slides that I want to teach you. Let me go forward. Oh, this is the president real quick. I asked a middle school class, who is this? And somebody yelled out, Jimmy Carter. And I said, oh no, oh my God. We've got work to do, kids. We've got work to do. It's not Jimmy Carter. I won't embarrass you. If we're getting better and better and better, how do we explain this? This is the United States state and federal prison population, which was consistent for hundreds of years, and then it exploded. Right here, when the former governor of California, in some ways, invented the modern systems of mass incarceration. It was the former governor of California, Richard Nixon, who right around here, we had the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, and he started asking, how can we criminalize blackness without saying that's what we're doing? His literal director of policy said that's what they were trying to do. And so they started creating laws that they would only enforce on black and brown communities. And they built mass incarceration. If we're getting better and better and better, that's not better, that's worse. If we're getting better and better and better, how do we explain this? This is the United States rate of imprisonment. I love Rwanda. Rwanda's number 2 because they literally just escaped genocide. And then we're number 1. Over the country that just got over genocide. We explain this because technology unfolds this way, but humanity doesn't. I'll close with this. I know that we're not here, and I definitely know that we're not up there. We're somewhere down in what I would call a dip. And there are 3 things about the dip that concern me. One, it's easy to get into the dip and very hard to get out of it. It's like, have you ever tried to ride a bike up a hill like that? Like it was really fun running down the hill. And then you try to get up and you realize, I just can't do it. You can find yourself in the dip and not even fully understand, how did Donald Trump become our president again? What? How did that happen? And all of a sudden, he's just the president. You can find yourself there and it can be hard to get out. Here's another thing about the dip. This dip can last for a few weeks, it can last for a few months. The Holocaust lasted for a few years, but the transatlantic slave trade lasted for hundreds of years. Dips can last for hundreds of years. You should never assume that the dip will just pass. It never just passes. How did slavery in America end? Anybody want to guess?
It didn't. It was
Well, some of you are deeper than others. The system of slavery as we know it did not end, but of course, plantation slavery in essence ended after a thing called the Civil War. How did Jim Crow end? The civil rights movement. How did the Holocaust end? What was that? There was a world war. What it takes to get out of the dip is always significantly more than what it took to get into it. Now here's the hopeful place that I'll take us. There are no dips in the history of humanity that people did not eventually overcome. Like, there have been horrible, horrible low moments where humanity was down here, where it was unthinkable that this could ever change. Like right now, it feels unthinkable that we could get this mountain back down to this level. That feels impossible. It is possible. It felt impossible that this was going to end, or that would end. It felt impossible that this would no longer be the reality. Now you're right, they replaced some systems of evil with new systems of evil, but that system does not exist. Here's the question. What are you doing to get us out of the dip? And if you don't have a clear answer, then you are partially responsible for us being in it. We are partially responsible for that. And what I'm asking you today is why this week is my family's midwinter vacation. I left my family to be here with you today to impress upon you that we won't get out of this dip unless you fight through it like our lives depend on it. It matters that much. Think of what it took to end this. It will take that level of commitment to end where we are now. It won't just happen. That's not how change works. If the people in your world, like the past 5 people that you've texted, that's kind of like who you really love. Like the past 5 people you sent a text to. I saw you give sweet eyes. I saw that, man. I caught the sweet eyes. If the people that you love don't know the fight that you're in, then you're not in it. That's how if you're really fighting to get out of the dip, she would know. Everybody in this room knows the fight that I'm in. It's because I'm in it. And I'm in it so loudly that I force all of you to know about it. That's when, like, at least the people in your universe, in your circle, need to know what that is for you. I've got to go, but I want you to understand this. I have always felt, and I don't say this everywhere I go. I don't want to be like, he says that when he goes to every single place. I've always felt like California sets the trend for most of the country. It doesn't mean that California is not broken, California is not corrupt, doesn't mean it doesn't have problems. But California tends to set the pace for the rest of the nation. And I am believing in my heart of hearts that it's the young people of California that are gonna really change the course of this country. That's you. I'm counting on you. There's some things that I'm fighting for now that I won't see, but you will.
Right.
Make the commitment in your heart. Know that I've got your back. I love you. I believe you. Thank you for having me here. God bless you.
Thank you.
And we'll hang out some more in a few minutes, all right?